Well, the future of television has another dimension, literally. Following in the footsteps of the big screen, the demand for 3D TV content is growing. And a film company from BC is heading into new territory with a 3D documentary that's the first of its kind. Next month, the crew heads to Brazil to get the cameras rolling. Joining me now in the studio with more is local filmmaker Shaun White. Hello.
Hi, Denise. Thanks for having me.
Great to have you here. Tell us, what exactly will you be shooting in Brazil?
Well, the story is the implosion of the Fonte Nova Stadium in Salvador, Brazil. And this is a stadium that has a capacity of 100,000 people. And it's been decommissioned, and they're making way for a new stadium that they're going to build for the 2014 World Cup. So our crews will be following teams as they prepare the building for Implosion. And then, of course, being an event-based show, we'll have cameras set up to capture the implosion. And so this is part of an ongoing series that we've been filming called Blowdown. And it's a television series that airs on National Geographic Channels International and in Canada on History Television. And what sets this apart is, instead of delivering a 2D standard television show, we're actually filming it in 3D.
Is there actually equipment to do that?
Well, that's the whole challenge with this project, is the tools exist for making feature films like Avatar, or we see a lot of animated 3D films. But now with this emergence of 3D television, there's a thirst and a demand for content, but the tools don't quite exist to be able to go out there and do filmmaking like we're used to doing it for television. So we've actually, for the last several months, been developing our own camera systems that allow us to get the type of content that we shoot, but do it in an efficient, unscripted way, but still have it be the quality we need it to deliver high end for these broadcasters.
You've actually created new cameras yourself?
Well, we actually haven't built our own cameras, but with 3D, you're really talking about camera systems, because you're actually using two imagers. So together with a team here in Victoria, we've actually taken other cameras and sourced components from other places and assembled them in a way that certainly in BC and Canada, and probably in the world, these systems don't exist.
Well, thank you for not explaining to me how cameras actually work, because of course I'm not going to understand it. But are there different challenges to shooting a 3D television documentary as opposed to 2D?
Absolutely. Everything changes. It's all different. You're not just how you frame, how you think, how you respect space and all that stuff. It's not as run and gun as we're used to doing. So
what does that mean, run and gun?
Well, we can't just sort of follow somebody and then just snap in and zoom in on somebody and then run over here and grab another shot. We have to be very careful about how we frame things to protect for stuff that's, objects that would come out of the screen or that sort of thing. Because we're really filming as though how we see in real life.
Well, that's interesting, because normally things are, you get 3-second shots, right? It's just edit, 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 edit. And 3D, you want to give your viewers the experience of being there, so that is quite a different approach.
Well, we'll still be doing fast cuts, but because it's in 3D, you can't really just jump too quickly in the same kind of 3D volume. I mean, it's very technical, so it's that whole wrapping your head around the parameters and the restrictions of making 3D that really will change how we do everything. And the other thing is, of course, we have 2 cameras and 2 sets of media to download. So if anything happens to any one of the shots, you've lost the entire shot. So it's very very technical and very, data intensive.
Tell me about the implosion itself, the stadium that's coming down. How does that work? Implosion, obviously, is not an explosion.
Right. Well, we've done all sorts of stories on different types of structures. We actually covered the implosion of the RCA Dome in Indianapolis, which is very identical to our own BC place. So what happens is they strategically place explosives in the structure in such a way that it's using pretty much the gravity of the structure to fall down. And because of how the structure's designed and what other buildings are around it, it's a fine art to where to put the explosives. And basically, when this thing comes down, it'll be about 18 seconds for the whole thing to come down, almost like different sections of like a domino, coming down like that, and huge dust cloud, lots of rumbling sounds. And so all this work and all this, preparing the cameras and following all this, it all culminates for an 18-second event.
Yeah, and no chance to reshoot. Where and when can we see the show? And can we see it in 3D in Canada?
Well, right now, we'll be delivering 3D to National Geographic International, and then our broadcaster in Canada is History Television, and they're broadcasting in 2D right now. Our hope is that as 3D becomes more prolific, that a Canadian broadcaster will start to catch on to this stuff.
And you see that as the future of television?
It's more than the future of television. This is the future of how we consume content, whether it's on the internet or whether it's on TV. This is what future generations are going to be demanding, and we're at the forefront of creating that for television, and then it'll move into internet. And how we look at this stuff, whether it's with glasses,
I was just going to ask you that.
All that stuff, it's all changing.
Those glasses.
Right now we're using glasses, but there'll be non-glasses coming down the pipe. And how we see this stuff will change over time. But the bottom line is that people need to start making this stuff. And that's sort of what we're trying to be a part of.
Well, thanks so much for coming in today.
Thanks for having me.
Have a great trip.
Thank you.
A great implosion. Shaun White is a Victoria-based filmmaker and director. He's off to Brazil to film a TV documentary in 3D with the BC production company Parallax Films. You're listening to CBC Radio 1, 94.9 FM in Castlegar.